What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the content that we have coming out. Now, I hope everybody had the opportunity to go out and see the Zack Snyder's Justice League if they wanted to see it and had the opportunity to, because it really is a good movie. I have a review for it. You guys can check out that video. But in this video, we're going to be covering Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade, issue number 1. Now, this is written by Simon Spurrier, art is by Sergio Davila, and cover is by Ivan Colio. Now, we saw a little bit of the Black Knight in the whole King in Black line. And for the Black Knight, that has essentially ended. That's past. So whatever happened with Noel is no longer. But what happened during the King in Black is the Black Knight learned that the sword isn't cursed. All that evil, all that hatred and anger, it's derived from Dane. Now, obviously, nobody else is really tracking this right now. Nobody else is up to date on exactly how the sword isn't the instrument of all this bloodlust that he has. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Now, this issue picks us up with Dane talking to a AI, essentially. And it's a listening program that really just listens to all of your problems. It doesn't really offer any kind of advice, but it's there for when people need to talk. And that's exactly what we see the Black Knight doing, talking about really his self-esteem issues. And he starts the story off by letting us know that he really wants to ditch all of his anxieties, his regrets, his grudges. At times, he feels like these are like bubbling blisters, and he just needs to get rid of them. Now, while this dialogue is going on, we see our Avengers. We see Black Panther, we see Thor, Captain America, Captain Marvel, all fighting some kind of hideous monsters in Central Park. And as they're dismantling all of these monsters, they see them slowly but surely reassembling themselves. So all of their hacking, all of their dismemberment of these creatures is all for naught. And this is when our Avengers turn around and see none other than the Black Knight riding in on his steed. And so it seems to be more of a running joke with Marvel when it comes to the Black Knight, because everybody, upon his arrival, they're just like, oh, this guy. And even Captain America just like thanks for coming, like, I really appreciate you being here, like, thank you so much. But it's almost reluctant in the way that they say it. And so everybody sees the Black Knight as a joke. And so as this battle rages on, Thor can hear Black Knight talking in his old-timey Arthurian type dialogue. And Thor almost and accidentally assumes that he's making fun of him. Because why would Thor not think that someone is making fun of him when he's talking in almost a ancient type dialect? And Captain America tells Thor, like, try to be nice, man. Like, just try. Like, we know, like, he's annoying. Like, he doesn't say annoying, but Thor says annoying. Captain Marvel says he's kind of sad. Captain America, his word for it is eccentric. And I think that's the nicest way that Captain America can say annoying, or at least would allow himself to. And as they're sitting here on the battlefield, the Black Knight's sword gets displaced from him. And Thor goes to try to pick it up, realizing that he can't. And as he sits there and struggles, the Black Knight reaches for his sword, and the sword comes to him in an instant. And it absolutely confuses Thor. He's just like, why? Why could I not lift your sword? And the Black Knight tells him, because it lightens only in shadow. But this story is really about the Black Knight's struggle. He is struggling so hard with the ideas that he is a bad person, that he eases to anger in such a quick way, to sadness, to depression. These things constantly live in him, but these are also the source of a lot of his power. Because the angrier he gets in battle, the more bloodlust he becomes. And this all helps drive him. And as we see this battle progress forward, the Black Knight takes the Ebony Blade and uses its power, blasting through some of these monster creatures, whatever you want to call them. And stepping back, looking at the battlefield, we see the Black Knight and his Ebony Blade really taking on all of these monsters by himself, and everybody else is kind of standing by, just watching as he literally demolishes all of these beasts. Now this whole story has been cutting back and forth between the battle and him talking to the AI self-help computer program. And he is just struggling so hard with everything. You know, he wants to be focusing on happiness, on positivity, on his mental health. But he just feels himself going deeper and deeper into the darkness. And that if he were to stop, he wouldn't really feel like himself. And so he questions, where does this end? How does this end? And this is where he arranges to talk to an academic. Someone that's familiar with King Arthur and all the mythology and legend that surrounds it. Because his logic here is, you know, something maybe within the mythology could possibly help him out. And this is when we see this academic arriving to the castle, and this academic's name is Jax. Now, upon her arrival to the castle, the Black Knight was called out. This is when the Avengers hit him up, letting him know that they needed his help in Central Park. And of course, you know, being super excited that they called him, he's just like, I gotta go right now. Like, they need me. They need me so badly. And this is part of his narcissism. And then we cut back over to the battle, and they're just chopping away at these things as they continuously reform themselves. And finally, they're like, hey, you know, Black Knight, we called you here for a reason. You're our weapon of mass destruction. Your gift, your ability, we need you to use it. And Black Knight's actually kind of disappointed here. He's like, oh man, like, I really thought you guys just kind of wanted to hang out with me. I thought that's what we were doing here. I thought we were just hanging out, killing bad guys. So reluctantly, as the monster starts to surround him, he uses his gift. And we see electricity and fire go out in all directions. And we see a giant explosion. We're seeing the true power of the Black Knight. And as the dust clears, we see all of our heroes looking at this just like, what the? Like, wow. He really just did that. And we didn't even have to do anything. We were literally sitting back just watching all of this transpire. But this is when a shadow figure comes up and whispers into the ear of each of our heroes. And we see Thor, we see Black Panther, Captain America, Captain Marvel all drop to their knees, essentially incapacitated. And then this thing comes to the Black Knight and tries to whisper in his ear, telling him that his love had died alone. And with her last breath, she regretted the day she met the Black Knight. And at first, it affects him, but then he brushes it off very quickly. And he looks to this ghost and he tells it, so like, you know the one thing to say that'll break somebody's heart. That's your random superpower, is triggering people. It's like, I've had plenty of practice torturing myself. You barely even scratched the surface. And this individual tells the Black Knight that he has a myth that he wants to test. And he had hoped that it was going to go about softly, but he's going to do it the hard way now. And this is when he throws a dagger, and it literally chops the head off of the Black Knight. And so the Black Knight lays there, decapitated, and this shadow figure tries to take the sword from the Black Knight, but it fails in its task. It's not able to take the sword. Even in death, the Black Knight holds on to this sword. And this is when the Avengers come into action, and this thing really just dissipates in front of them and disappears. Now, picking back up at the Black Knight castle, we have the Black Knight's butler escorting this academic around the castle, and she's looking around investigating everything, and this is when he tells her that it's time for her to leave, because the Black Knight is more or less indisposed. And this is where they come into a room only to see the Black Knight on a slab, dead. But before she leaves, she really wants to touch the Ebony Blade. She wants to figure out a little bit of history behind it on exactly what it is, because she knows that it's 15th century. And as she sits here and struggles with the butler, she gets her hand on it. And this is where she gets a vision from Merlin. And she's seeing Camelot. She's seeing the knights of old. She's seeing all kinds of different visions here. But really, she's seeing the land of Camelot. And this is where we see her sit up, seemingly to have a headache, not really understanding what just happened. But then we see the Ebony Blade having blood pour out of it, and it looks like it goes into the Black Knight. And this is where we see the Black Knight step up off the table and tell this academic, tell Jax, that he has some questions. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I really did enjoy this, you know, so we're learning that the Black Knight, all of this is him. All this evil, this power that, you know, that it's said that the Ebony Blade holds, it's really the Black Knight. He is the one that has the darkness inside of him. And the sword only listens to him because of his darkness. So it's a really awesome twist. I really do enjoy that aspect and how they're trying to bring the Black Knight back around and make him more relevant in Marvel Comics. And now we've learned that he can literally be decapitated and get up off the table a little bit later. Now, we don't know how Jax's connection is going to play into all of this, but it seems like when she touched the sword, it did activate something, or maybe it was just coincidental, who knows. So we'll find out in issue number 2 for sure. So like I said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and until the next breakdown.